you wanna trap like
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and after a little bit of a hiatus, Short Track Thunder has returned to the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, where we get set to kick off the next batch of action here in this beautiful little short track series. Once again, my name is Noel Bempel, and welcome to Green Flag TV. We start things off tonight with your stock division, as always, and from there, we will be set to roll things on over into our pro late model division, then the limited modified, some super late models, and we finish it up with a 60-lap tour modified outing here for race number 11 overall here at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. We'll look at your championship standings here as we get set to kick things off in your stock division, and so far, Eric Monaco continues to hold the top step, but only just sitting exactly 4 points up from one Will Parrish. It is going to be a hard fight at the moment for Eric Monaco if he wants to keep that spot up at the top, with only now coming down to just three now races remaining in your stock division. Still tight as ever. Nathan Ormond sits about 13 points out back in third. Chase Gaston sitting well down the field and about 9 points back from just the next driver up, which would be the likes of Nathan Ormond. So as we have gotten all your championship standings set and all the drivers have gridded up and are ready to go in just a few moments, we'll see what things are going to shake up like as we get set to go racing for another 40 laps of racing action here in your stock division from Thompson Speedway. It's Will Parrish going to be up there on a pole position, with the likes then of Nathan Norman back in that front row, started beside him on the outside line. Chris Harvey's going to be in third, with Chase Gaston in fourth for row number 2. Eric Monaco and Trevor Carr round out row 3, with OJ Toledo and Mitchell Hodak on row 4. Oscar Wilder and Axel Manoy going to be over there in that 10th position, row number 5. Casey Wells and Daniel Reagan sitting in 11th and 12th position. Continuing to move down through the field, you got Patrick Allmendinger in 13th, Justin Laraya in 14th. It's going to be the likes of Colin Cropley in 15th, with Michael Brown in 16th, Jesse Gase and Ben Cohen round out your 18-car stock division field for the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. Taking things around the racetrack here for our first of 2 pace laps as 18 cars get set to go racing for 40 laps around this beautiful half-mile speedway with over 70 years of racing tradition behind it. It is bound to be one exciting show here today as we'll run them down through turns 1 and 2 for the final time. Coming on to lap number 16. Outside lane heavy racetrack for today, so it's going to be interesting to see who's going to come out on top, as these guys are going to get themselves all sorted and try to see who's exactly going to take the victory after your race here tonight. So, field's going to come on down and in for service. And the pace car down into pit road. Green flag up in the air. We're underway in Thompson. And so far, a good getaway from Will Parrish on the opening lap. Sorry, I understand the audio is suddenly cut out for some strange reason. We'll try to figure out what the source of that is and what the complications are as we get set to lead things down to green. So far, it is Parrish to lead the opening lap, with Orman behind him in that second position. You were fighting out for third place behind between the likes of Chris Harvey and Eric Monaco as we take it down into turn numbers 3 and 4. So still unclear exactly why we don't have any audio from the cameras, but we'll obviously just roll with the punches and we'll keep at it. But for now, it is a fight for the lead up front between Will Parrish and Nathan Orman as we run it back down into turn number 1 for now the 6th time this afternoon. So far, Eric Monaco holding the fastest lap. He got a side-by-side fight in behind between the 30 and the 68 starting to develop between Casey Wells and Alex Benoit. Benoit's going to fall back, though, from that inside line, and that's going to open up the door now for that 94 car of Michael Brown to try to find some momentum up around the top shelf of the racetrack. You got the 27 of Colin Cropley kind of in the midst of this here, as well as we'll continue to let things slowly settle on out and get rolling here this time around. So it's a bit of a who knows type of situation at this point that we got going on here. So we'll continue to monitor situations on the racetrack as the 27 now tries to make a run around the outside of that number 68 car of Benoit. You've got Colin Cropley now trying to find some kind of momentum around the top side into turn number 1. And the 68 going to keep things pinned to the bottom. It's a bit of a slow racetrack as things stand for the time being. As you can see, not a whole lot of drivers able to make moves. It's a bit of a medium line racetrack. It's very hard to establish a run for the bottom side. It's not going to stop, though, the number 99 of Eric Monaco. We're trying to make a move here on the likes of Chris Harvey back down to turn number 1 as we start to tick these laps away and settle things out into the general rhythm of how this race can be expected to develop. The turn number 1 is jumping a bit further up, down the field, you got the likes of Oscar Wilder and Mitchell Hodak down the back straightaway, running nose to tail at the moment. They're sitting 8th and 9th place on the racetrack, and they're sitting right behind that 83 of LJ Toledo here as we once again take it down to the front straightaway, starting lap number 11 here in this 40-lap affair, and that's starting to improve the likes of Chris Harvey and more as Harvey continues to try to hang on to that 3rd position here. You've got 4 laps remaining here until we get down to our competition yellow flag. Here goes Mitchell Hodak trying to finally make something on Oscar Wilder down the inside of the Pepsi Challenger machine, down towards turn number 1. The 34 car gets on the inside. Can he establish the run and make it for 8th? Oscar Wilder is going to have that drive around the outside lane, diving it down into turn numbers 3 and 4. No room, no dice, and all of a sudden, trying to fly around the top shelf will be that number 10 car as we diamond it back down the corner into turn 1. Going to be 2 laps to go before our competition yellow next time by the line. Wilder still trying to be deeper on the brakes and carry the momentum around the outside line. It's such a difficult thing to try to do, though, around the Thompson Speedway. Yeah, the momentum is there, but if you can get a good run around that middle groove, you're going to be able to get yourself with an easy defense going, and it looks like that's exactly at the moment what that number 34 car is trying to do as the Pete's Auto Repair and Pepsi Challenger Chevrolet finally clears, and none too soon because here's Casey Wells out trying to throw his hat into the ring. Final lap, though, meanwhile, and Will Parrish still fending off Nathan Orman in the Valvoline machine, running down through turn 2. We're down the back straightaway for the final time today before we get set for our one and only competition yellow flag in our event. And it will be then Will Parrish to be your race leader as the comp yellow will fly. And we are under caution flag number 1. So we're going to take a step back here as everything has gotten themselves sorted. We'll see if we can't uncover what the technical gremlins are behind our sudden audio cut, and we'll be right back with you in time for the race restart.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join iRace or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Thompson Speedway. I believe we have finally got the issues resolved, so we should have a full car audio down on the racetrack now as things stand. We'll run through the field as we go lights out with 1 lap to green here in this fair before we get ourselves all situated for our late model and modified action coming on up in just a little while. It's Parrish from Ormond, Harvey from Monaco, Gaston from Carr to round out the first 3 rows as we'll get set to go back to green flag racing action then this time for it should be a pretty exciting remaining 20 or so laps before we get set to end this thing out. Pace car is down and in. We'll enter the restart zone by the restart cones, and Will Parrish leaves, green flag drops, we're back underway. Parrish clears down the back straightaway for the first time today as we go back to green, right at halfway on lap number 21. The 26 of Nathan Norman trying to pull the outside along with Chris Harvey. You've got Gaston and Monaco and a side-by-side scrap right behind them. We're double file all the way down the road in towards turn number 1. 3 wide as the 96 goes up the middle, almost 4 as the 12 car gets pinned on the bottom. Contact, and we're going to bang doors down the back straightaway. Getting a bit physical with the 96 Whataburger machine of Trevor Carr trying to force the middle line. We're still 3 abreast as we rocket down the front straightaway. Once again, down for turn number 1. Still 3 wide with the 99 up top, the 65 down low, and just now we finally double it out again. A much tighter restart than our overall race start as these guys still trying to go on the defense. You see the 12 of Chris Harvey really covering off that inside line, but it has cost these guys massive time up the field in front of them as we got some major congestion here down the back straightaway. The 34 car's just gotten up into the outside wall. So Hodak's going to have damage on the right front of the Pepsi Challenger while we run it back down the front straightaway. Well, that got a little bit intense there for a little while as now the 10 and the 83 going to try to work with each other and scrap it amongst themselves. Fights on for the lead as well as Nathan Norman sneaks to the inside of Will Parrish, trying to make the move for the lead. Parrish is going to fend him off, though. That's not going to stop Warman, though, from trying to send it back down the inside into turn 3. But again, no room for that number 26 car. And Will Parrish will hang on. Gaston finds the way around the inside of Chris Harvey and picks up the number 5 position. Now tries to make one up as well on Eric Monaco. And now our field's finally starting to spread out around this half-mile oval. after a wild start. Or a wild restart, I should say. We just set to enter the final quarter of the stock division race tonight. The 27 car here of Colin Crobley trying to make a move on the 68 as well of Alex Benoit as we run down to turn numbers 3 and 4. And the 27 going to be able to hang on just for the time being, while the 30 continues to put some laps down right in front of him and hang on to that 11th spot. Got a half a second gap between Parrish and Orman, and then from there it's a good 3 seconds back to Trevor Carr, the next closest driver down the line. And Trevor Carr having to work to hang off or hold off a charging there. Monaco is trying to lunge from the inside and go for that third position, but again, that inside line just doesn't have a lot of speed at Thompson. It never has. But some of that good old progressive banging that we love so much. 96 doing a fine job on keeping the 99 at bay by running around that outside line. Second verse, same as the first for Chris Harvey and Chase Gaston here, who are continuing to scrap it out amongst themselves, and now Harvey's going to fall back to the punches of Oscar Wilder. Gaston gets around the outside of Aaron Monaco, trying to make the lunge up into the top 4. 7 laps remaining on the docket. Gaston's too wide. Here comes Wilder trying to shoot the middle. And it looks like he'll do so. So Oscar Wilder picks up 6, now trying to run down the top 5 from Harvey. Coming to 6 laps to go. Gaston clears Wilder, and he'll punch his ticket up into the top 5 after starting way up in 4th. Will Parrish continuing to lead the way as we run down into the front straightaway, coming to 4 laps to go. Meanwhile, Gaston's got a bird's eye view of the fight between Monaco, Harvey, and Carr just up the road from him. While Trevor Carr looking out the rearview mirror to see if he can keep these guys behind him for 4 more laps. Make that 3. It's not the only fight we got either. How about this one between Brown, the 83, the 34, and Moore, a 4-way scrap for 8th place on back. Pretty big point still up for grabs with these drivers fighting it out for the last spots in and around the top 10 with 2 to go. Looking like all drivers going to be finishing this race on the lead lap. And Will Parrish going to come down and take the white flag. .6 seconds clear of Nathan Ormond. Just has to navigate turns 3 and 4 one more time, and it will be Will Parrish making the trip off the final corner. He wins the 8th stock division race of the Short Track Thunder season. Monaco will hang on for 3rd as the battles cross the line behind. How about this one? The 34 Hodak trying to make up one more spot. Casey Wells drag race to the line, but Wells hangs on for the top 10. What a beautiful drive out here that we saw from these guys early on. And that is one of those races that is just so awesome to see. We'll take a rundown here of your official race results at the end of this one, as what a trip that we've had out here from the stock division. And to take the race win, it was Will Parrish over the likes of Nathan Ormond. You'll obviously be having the 99 of Air Monaco pick up third. Trevor Carr in fourth, with Chris Harvey to round out the top 5. Oscar Wilder's in sixth, with Chase Gaston in seventh. Michael Brown is eighth. Elgin Toledo ninth. Casey Wells rounds out the top 10. For they've got Mitchell Hodak, Colin Cropley, Alex Benoit, Daniel Reagan, Patrick Allmendinger, Justin Lariah, Jesse Gase, and Ben Cohen. Rounds out your 18-car field here from the beautiful Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. Your championship order looks like this. It's finally a change at the top as Will Parrish topples Eric Monaco, but just by 2 points, entering the final 2 races at the Southern National Motorsports Park, and then, of course, the Bristol Finals. We'll see the stock division out here next time around. Don't go away. You've got yourself some pro late model action coming on up in just a moment. And we return to Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, where we're getting set to kick off a 50-lap venture for the Pro Late Model Division and their 9th race of the Short Track Thunder season. We'll continue to gradually work our way through tonight's program, and the championship order when we enter the race for the Pro Late Models looks as such. Casey Wells, 12 clear of Eric Monaco. Carlos Montero sits an additional 9 points back with 266. It's a close fight, though, for that final podium position between Montero and Benoit, with just 3 points separating them. It's another 4 back to the likes of Mitchell Hodak to round out the top 5. So overall in the Pro Late Model Division, things are still looking as tight as ever for your 17-car field. We'll once again run down what the starting grid's going to look like, as it's Jeb Kenner to be started on pole with Paul Bain beside him on the front row. Carlos Montero will be over in 3rd with Nathan Orman back in 4th. Casey Wells starts 5th with Corey Rivers in 6th. Jack Cooper is in 7th with Eric Monaco in 8th. Mitch Hodak is 9th, and Alex Benoit rounds out the top 10. Michael Brown and LJ Toledo are in 11th and 12th with Colin Cropley, Ben Cohen, Alan Tudor, Edward Hilberry, and Ross Smithley to round out your field of 17 cars here tonight in the Pro Late Model Division. Overall, it's bound to be an interesting race here. It's the first pole position for Jeb Kenner in the Mopar number 70 machine. It's also the highest starting position for Paul Bain all season long. Nathan Orman, though, in the Waffle House 21, gonna have a bit of work to do if he wants to try to close in on those front runners. Casey Wells gonna have to be watching his back out there, as that 43 car gonna have a lot of work to do. Remember, Casey Wells won the first 5 races of this season. Were finally being reeled in, and now the Hardee's Chevrolet not looking so secure up at the top of the boards like it perhaps once was. So there's gonna be a bit of work then for the likes of Casey Wells to do if he wants to find himself getting himself with a good starting position here over a little bit further into the race tonight. We'll get things rolling here with the iRacing safety car, and we'll be taking those 2 pace laps where we go back to green flag racing. Of course, this is where that speed starts to ramp on up, but this is going to be nothing compared to when the Tour Modifieds come out to race for their 60-lap event later on in the show this afternoon, as the field rolls out down in the turn number 1. So on the stock division, some drivers were able to make some ground off of that inside line, but it was far from the easiest task. So it's going to be an interesting run here to see if these Pro Late models will be able to do anything similar with that inside line. I'm starting to think, though, potentially not. The further up we get in the speed, the more you're able to rip the high side with momentum, especially when we get down to the modifieds with all the mechanical grip that those cars have. But these Pro Late models, they should still be able to make something happen around that inside line, so long as they're not too aggressive trying to hammer down the throttle on corner exit. 1 lap to green as we'll get set to roll things on out. And it will be in the hands of one Jeb Kenner to lead us to the green flag. See the revs start to build as the iRacing safety car pulls down into pit road. Leave it up to Jeb Kenner entering the restart zone. Green flag drops, we're underway. Kenner leads off of the final corner down into turn number 1 as we start lap number 2. Montero clears for the 2nd position as Bain's going to fall back to 3rd. That outside lane starting to establish itself, though. Here comes Casey Wells trying to put that 71 car back down to 4th, going to bump him out of the podium positions. 50 laps the distance with 2 in the books. Rocketing back down into turn number 1. Got a bit of action going on in the background as well. Good look at the 80 car. Michael Brown trying to rip the high side and to see if he can pull around and get some speed going down to turn number 1. All the while, the laps steadily begin to tick away. Got the 61 Aaron's machine here. Got the 66 of Corey Rivers in the mix. The 61 of Alan Tudor calling Rob with LJ Toledo. Also in this little battle. Alex Benoit, meanwhile, into pit road and with damage on the right front of his machine. So Alex Benoit having to take a trip down to pit road here early. And we'll see if we can pick this together. What happened to LJ Toledo? Back there he is. This happened on the opening lap of this race. Watch this one here. Is LJ Toledo going to push up to the outside of the racetrack? And Benoit got shoved into the wall by LJ Toledo. So that's going to see him his race come to a premature end. Meanwhile, Jeb Kenner starting to make a little bit of ground here. And Carlos Montero seeing if he can't make that move for first. Behind Toledo and Crobley continuing to scrap it out for 12th place. The 80 of Michael Brown starting to pull clear a little bit further up the row, but they are gaining some serious distance on this trio right behind of Cohen, Smithley, and Hilberry to round out your now 16 car field as Benoit still sits down in the lane. How about Eric Monaco and Jack Cooper running lockstep for that 6th spot? '26 up the track of Jack Cooper as he tries to fend off Nathan Orman. Orman thought about going for the lunge down to turn 3. Wasn't any room, though, to make it work. Carlos Montero, meanwhile, losing a bit of time back to the likes here of Casey Wells. As Wells continues to try to, there we go, work up some ground and pick up a 2nd position. A little further down the order, we're on board with Nathan Ormond as he watches Eric Monaco and Jack Cooper fight it out. Now he's going to look for the inside of Monaco as Monaco folds in turn 1. 10 down, 40 to go. As Monaco gets around Eric Monaco. Oh, not quite. Still going to fight this one out. This is the fight for 7th. Down in the turn 1. Monaco clears from the top shelf. And the 21 car will be forced to tuck back in line. Carlos Montero still looking low. Still trying to find a way to get up the inside of the Mopar 70 Chevrolet. Got to run off of turn 2 here. Gonna go for the send, dives it into turn 3, fights on for the lead, and now Casey Wells up in the fray to boot. But Montero falters in 4, and that's going to allow instead for Casey Wells to go on offense and take that spot away from the outside line. Now they're locked in a fight for 2nd place, and that is allowing for Jeff Kenner to take the lead while Alex Benoit rejoins the racetrack 11 laps down. Check back in on Cooper, Hodak, and Bain. Running for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Here goes Hodak, charging for the inside. Down the front straightaway into turn 1. No, not enough of a run to make something happen. How about, though, Michael Brown trying to get a run on Alan Tudor to run down the back straightaway on lap number 16. Tudor still hanging on, trying to look around the outside now with Michael Brown to see if he can pick up that spot. The Indy car, pretty good job on holding that bottom lane, but it won't last forever. Looks like he'll get him here, though, off of turn 4. That'll allow us to look up to Jack Cooper and Nathan Ormond. Stuck in their own battle. Ormond has only dropped positions with the start of this race. He's down 3 already and at risk of going down 4 if Cooper has his way. Here comes Alex Benoit, though, on some fresh rubber after getting some of that damage repaired over on the right front, and now he's trying to see if he can just run his own pace here. He's going to break up that fight for 7th. Meanwhile, Casey Wells, the Hardy's 43, wants to make a move here on the Charger. But Jeb Kenner holds firm, and now Montero starting the battle back. You hear him just pinging off that rev limiter as he ran down to turn number 1. Listen to it again here. And Carlos Montero definitely struggling a little bit on the top end speed. It looks like the gear ratios might be a little bit off in his car. Meanwhile, I still got these midfield fights that are developing. Now Mitchell Hodak is trying to get around Eric Monaco, break up into the top 5. Hodak's going to continue to run that inside line, but it's off of turn 4 where that inside lane just comes apart. As Eric Monaco once again clears in the run down to turn 1. He will hang on for 5th. Now Mongo trying to go on the offensive to get around Paul Baines, Dollar General 71 that started up on the front row. But as that inside lane's going to lose momentum, here comes Hodak with the charge for the top side. As we're halfway home, cross flags are out. Started to condense here a little bit. You've got the 26 of Jack Cooper along with Alex Benoit, still all those laps down, trying to fight it out amongst each other, and this is where it's going to start to become a bit of a hazard here, as Benoit still trying to unlap himself once or twice. He's not going to get his lap back, so I don't know what the point is for him to be trying to fight the way he is, but putting on a show here for these positions around the top 5 as Ormond breaks up into 6th, and now Jack Cooper will try to get around Mitchell Hodak as well with a lunge down to turn 3. Race leaders have caught lap traffic. Ross Smith has already put one down. Edward Hilberry about to go one down as well, as we'll keep eyes on this fight here between Hodak and Cooper unless the fight for the lead closes up any. Jack Cooper's going to yield. Mitchell Hodak wins that fight. Meanwhile, Jeff Kenner doing a solid job on trying to keep the likes here of Casey Wells at bay. see how much over the last 5 laps he's built up. Almost a second gap now. Well, this time by, Wells brings that gap down slightly. Very much settled into the rhythm of things, as at this point these guys just ticking the laps away instead of going for positions. Thinking long term, no doubt, review these guys as now, especially that these fights are within the top 5 have caught up to lap traffic. They got to work on first getting around these lap cars, and then they actually worry about fighting each other. Checking back in on some of the fights a bit further down the order. This is Tudor, Brown, Toledo, and Cropley all still in a line. Running down the back straightaway into turn number 3. So they're going to take 16 laps to go this time by. Some of these guys in the back here hoping for a caution. They can pick up some spots a bit further up the field, but at this point I think a caution would be a bit far-fetched with how spread out everyone is around the racetrack. Albane and Carlos Montero both seem to think he can use Edward Hilberry's picks. One trying to fend off position, one trying to gain one. But Eric Monaco about to go 3 wide up the middle, and believe that almost put Paul Bain into the wall last time by. Bain was able to keep it out, but now we are going to go 3 wide, but there Monaco going for the middle line. Carlos Montero, though, stacks him up and forces Monaco out. That's going to allow Ormond and Hodak now into the mix as Bain clears Montero for 3rd. Edward Hilberry, a thorn in this little pack's side here. And can Bain finally get clear? No, he doesn't. Is Hilberry going to take the line away? Looks like just there, Bain's finally going to clear down to the turn 3, and Montero's going to try to follow him through. Meanwhile, here's the fight for the lead. Kenner and Wells once again embroiled in side-by-side combat for a brief moment as this gap has shrunk dramatically. And you can see by just how much. As this little grouping continuing to shrink here as time goes along. Ten to go, starting lap number 40, and you still got Ormond and Cooper side by side, as now Benoit getting into the mix. And now you got a pair of lap cars here that's holding Cooper and Ormond up. The frustration's no doubt mounting as Jack Cooper is still trying to lunge around the inside of Nathan Ormond, but at this point it's a lack of speed as well as he's gone to the inside, combined with lap traffic that's prevented him from being able to run away with that position. Here goes Casey Wells looking for the inside, but he's entered too soon, too early. As Jeb Kenner again hangs on with less than 10 to go. Once again, the 43 car looking low. But it's again a problem of that inside momentum just is not there. It's going to keep Wells, though, right on the back bumper of Jeb Kenner as we take 5 laps left to go in your 9th Pro Late Model race of Short Track Thunder. Keeps it in line. He's able to close up to that back bumper coming around through 3 and 4. Can he close any more down the front straightaway? No, doesn't look like it. He stopped making those tight entries, though, so I think at this point, Casey Wells is trying to set himself up for the bonsai move coming on down into turn 3 for the last lap. He's not closing in enough for that to be a viable option. Orman now trying to get around the outside of Ben Cohen, and that's going to check up Cooper as Orman breezes by. Meanwhile, you've got Toledo, Brown, and Tudor all still in the mix as they're about to lap Ross Smithley as well. It's coming down to 1 lap left to go, this time by leaving in the hands of Jeb Kenner, running down the front straightaway into turns 1 and 2. Final trip around for the number 70 Mopar Charger. He'll cross the start-finish line. Off of turn 4, Jeb Kenner wins the Pro Late Model Division at Thompson. As 1 by 1, drivers led their individual battles, tick down across to the start-finish line. And again, what a drive that we've had in another thrilling Pro Late Model race. We'll jump down to the official race results here in this one, as it was one Jeb Kenner to fend off Casey Wells. The two of them were over 3-4 seconds clear from Carlos Montero. Aaron Monaco hangs on for 4th with Paul Bain falling back to 5th, but he started 2nd. Mitchell Hodak finishes in 6th with Nathan Orman, Jack Cooper, and Corey Rivers all losing spots to finish 7th, 8th, and 9th. Colin Crawley finishes 10th with Michael Brown in 11th. Alan Tudor was in 12th with LJ Toledo in 13th. Ben Cohen, Edward Hilberry, Ross Smithley, and Alex Benoit finished this race 1 lap down. And going over to your championship order here at the end of this one, and Casey Wells extends his lead up to 10 points, while one Alex Benoit loses out on 2. Time's running out. If Aaron Monaco wants to make a run for the Pro Late Model Championship bid, he'll have only one more chance, I do believe, over at the Bristol Finals. You've still got more racing action, though, from the Thompson Motor Speedway. Your limited modified division coming on next in just a few. once again, we return to the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, where we get set to go racing for our 6th limited modified division race here of the season here in Short Track Thunder for the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. And once again, this half-mile speedway gets set to rumble to life, this time with 22 SK Modifieds. Once again, as always, your championship order going into today's race looks as such. Eric Monaco, 15 points clear of Keith Marks, and definitely trying to see if he can't lock out this championship here today, but it might be a bit of a long shot. This is going to have to try to see if he can then survive the Bristol finals as well. I don't think he's going to be able to do it here, but the possibility certainly always going to be in the air. Once again, we'll look at your official starting grid coming on down into today's race, where it's Trent Kirkshaw to start on the front row alongside Scott Gray. Eric Monaco, the points leader, sits in third. Mitchell Hodak is in fourth place on row number 2, with Alex Minoy and Mateo Whitaker on row number 3. JB Tanner and Nathan Ormond on row 4, with Casey Wells and Ryder Chisholm on row 5. Keith Marks and Chris Harvey going to be back there on row number 6, and that's going to leave Ezekiel Froese and Garrett Newberry in 13th and 14th. Hermie Weatherman and Colin Cropley 15th and 16th. Darcy Byron and LJ Toledo 17th and 18th. Michael Brown and Casey Knoll 19th and 20th. And then last but not least, Kurt Newton and Ben Cohen rounding out the field of 22 SK Modifieds for the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. We'll be looking set to try to see if we can go green here in just a couple of moments, as the iRacing safety car just waiting to lead on off, which should be any second now. Once again, we pull up the championship stand. As you can see, while you've got a bit of a spread between first and second, how about the fight for second in the points? You got 3 points down to Chris Harvey and Garrett Newberry, both tied for that final podium position in the points. So it is going to be a tight field at the moment, as these guys are going to get set to try to do battle with everything they got to try to get themselves on a run. Now, this track can be very, very narrow, but that doesn't mean that these cars are not going to be able to push it 2, even 3 wide. We saw some pretty crazy things happen at other racetracks on the Short Track Thunder calendar, and we're about to see some crazy stuff not only today, but in the next 2 races at the Southern National Motorsports Park as well as down at the Bristol Motor Speedway for the final event on the season at the last Great Coliseum. Trent Kirkshaw on his first pole position of the season, going to be leading us to green next time by, as we take that one to go signal. .50 laps going to be the distance, as we'll run down in the turn numbers 3 and 4. Scott Gray on the outside of the High Point machine. Trent Kirkshaw, the Pepsi machine, on the inside. Green flag in the air. We're back underway. Good getaway so far from drivers deeper in the pack. You got Eric Monaco leading the way on a charge, while it's still double file for most of the field. Scott Gray continuing to tumble down the order of the number 20 car. Just lost out to JB Tanner, who clears on the inside of the number 6. The 90 of Whitaker around the outside lane as well, as the drivers thundering around this racetrack, 22 strong. Looking fairly composed so far in the opening laps of your limited modified race, as the 50 car of Keith Marks just broke clear of Ezekiel Froese. Froese still in the battle with Scott Gray here, and now he'll clear down to turn number 3. It looks like that inside lane a lot stronger when you got some SK Modifieds doing the work here, as we're almost going to go 3 wide, a bit deeper in the pack here. You got the 2 back here of Garrett Newberry, Colin Cropley, Ryder Chisholm, all under a blanket along with several others. as we hightail it down the back straightaway and in towards turn numbers 3 and 4. Scott Gray up front, meanwhile, still losing positions. He is down 8 spots now before he started in this race, and not even as many laps. About to lose another one to the one car of Nathan Ormond. Mitchell Hodak also in the fray here. Now the outside lane starting to come in right when Gray finally decides to swap lanes. So Gray seems to be a good indicator right now of what not to do at Thompson Speedway. As now the Vibe tries to pull around the outside, not able to do so though. He'll lose momentum, and the 20 car going to hold firm in the run down the stretch into turn numbers 1 and 2. Make that 3 and 4. For the tenure of Colin Cropley along with Chris Harvey, trying to get around Garrett Newberry in the number 2 car. That 10, you can see him bouncing up and down as he gets on and off the throttle. Newberry pulls clear. Instant hot pursuit. Meanwhile, Trent Kirkshaw has been losing a bit of time, it looks like, here to the likes of Eric Monaco. Actually, he's grown that gap out just a little bit, but not by much. Monaco did a good job on just trying to keep things steady in the number 98 behind your race leader. Get a bit closer this time by coming off of turn number 4. Closes in by about half a tenth there that last time by. This time, going to look for that inside lane, coming off of turn number 4 and running down to 1. Overall, it's looking like a fairly good charge as they stand for the likes of Eric Monaco, who's going to continue to apply the pressure to Trent Kirkshaw here lap after lap. Scott Gray, meanwhile, trying to see if he can't make up some more time and finally start to regain lost spots after he dropped from 2nd all the way back to 10th. But at the moment, it's Nathan Ormond that he's having to battle with, and Ormond's not about to let him have this spot easily. Field has gotten himself spread out relatively quickly around here. You got Keith Martin, Casey Wells also in the mix. Braden Whitaker hanging on to the last spot. Sorry, Mateo Whitaker hanging on to the last spot inside the top 5. But it's again a problem of Thompson Speedway is such a difficult track to pass at. It's going to be a big challenge for any of these drivers trying to make up any kind of ground in these limited modifieds. The Tour mods might have a bit more of a helping hand, so to speak, of getting themselves sorted. But for now, it's the best this groupie here is going to be able to do as we run it back down the straightaway into 1 and 2. Trent Kirkshaw still with no lap traffic to worry about, and that's good news for him because he's got Eric Monaco really hounding his heels for that race leading position. This is where the big pack's at the moment, all in a long line, running down the straightaway in towards turns 1 and 2. At the 90 and the 31 here, trying to do battle for that last spot inside the top 5 as things stand. But Casey Wells, again, just like Eric Monaco, having a hard time establishing momentum down the straightaway. .25 laps to go. We are halfway home in your limited modified division race for their 6th outing. Of course, with the recently shortened schedule for Short Track Thunder, the way things are going to be shaken on up for these guys is when it gets down to the race over at the Southern National Motorsports Park. We've seen the stock division, the stock truck cup, and then the Tour Modifieds out. So this is these guys' second to last race here before all the series come together at Bristol Motor Speedway for one last duel. It's going to be a shortened race for the Short Track Thunder guys as well to boot. The limited modified division, which is typically running the 50 or 60 lap race, is going to be down to 40 for the race at Bristol with how many divisions there are to run. The stock division, we saw them out earlier today. They're also going to be only having a 30 lap affair. Eric Monaco, he's got him alongside Trent Kirkshaw. They've caught lap traffic in the form of the 17 of Ben Cohen. And now Monaco trying to fight the outside line of Kirkshaw. Goes for the lead. And there it is. Eric Monaco breaks through with 21 to go. Now going to try to look to the inside to get around the lap traffic. But here comes Kirkshaw battling back. Ben Cohen, no doubt a confused duck at the moment. Not quite sure where he wants to go to get out of these guys' way. Monaco hangs on for the lead. Kirkshaw thinking about 3 wide around the outside. That's not going to work, and Monaco finally breaks clear from the bottom. Now Eric Monaco able to break away, clear by a country mile as Trent Kirkshaw finally breaks around. But here comes the rest of the field. About to approach that same bout of lap traffic and be caught up in the same mess. It's about to get busy over here at Thompson Speedway. Alex Benoit starting to fall back. Here comes a 6 car. JB Tanner fighting it up the middle. He'll break up into the 3rd position. And now here goes Mateo Whitaker also to the outside. Casey Wells caught in the sucker hole as well. As Ezekiel Froze tries to work his way through. Got Nathan Ormond, Scott Gray also in the mix. I mentioned we're about to get busy, and boy, that's David ringing through as they're now being put double file. It's only going to take one guy to push this 3 before this ends in calamity. Looking like we're going to get ourselves relatively sorted. Those one by one drivers start to gradually single file on out. But now for the condense again up the road as here's Keith Marks and JB Tanner trying to make something happen in that fight for 3rd still as they again try to work around Ben Cohen. Ten laps to go, and this fight still nowhere near sorted. The rumbling of SK Modified Motors continues as the laps wind down, and this continues to be a thorn in these guys' side. I don't think Ben Cohen's going to be getting out of the way for this pack until even the checker flag. They're just going to have to learn to live with it. This is short track racing for you, and these guys are having a hard time of going about it. 6 to go. Make it up now for Froze and Marks. Trying to see if any one of them can get around Ben Cohen. Ezekiel Froze takes the outside line. Can he finally break free? Yes, he can! Ezekiel Froze clears for 3rd. And that might settle the fight for that 3rd position, but it has not settled the spots for 4th on back. With 5 laps left to go, time is running out. Caution at this point ends the race. Are they going to be desperate enough to try to put themselves in a bad situation? Oh, yes, they are. We're 3 wide down to the back straightaway. They're going to double it out before it can end in calamity, but the 5 car almost got shoved up towards the outside wall. Is not going to stop these guys from continuing to scrap it out, though. Last laps of the race here on the docket. How about the 1 way to the inside along with the 6, trying to find any speed they can, but there's just nothing there. Almost flat on the inside compared to what it's like up by the wall. Final lap, meanwhile, for Eric Monaco, who's running down into turn numbers 3 and 4. Lap traffic not going to be a factor as Eric Monaco comes through 3 and 4. He picks up another race win. for the number 98. Meanwhile, the fight for fourth still raging on as we come around through turns 3 and 4 and across the line. Again, a wild performance, and I mentioned it was going to get crazy, and crazy it certainly got in the closing laps as Eric Monaco takes the spot up from Trent Kirkshaw. Ezekiel Froese holds third with Mitchell Hodak in fourth, Alex Benoit in fifth, Wells was sixth with Keith Marks in seventh, Scott Gray eighth, Jamie Tanner in ninth, and Mateo Whitaker rounds out the top 10. Darcy Byron brings up 11th, Nathan Orman in 12th, Chris Harvey in 13th, Michael Brown 14th, Newbury in 15th, Hermie Weatherman in 16th, Colin Cropley in 17th. Casey Knoll brings up the 18th position. Moving down through the field, and it is Ryder Chisholm, LJ Toledo, Kurt Newton, and Ben Cohen to round out your 22 car limited modified field. And as we look forward to the championship, entering the season finale for the SK Modifieds at Bristol Motor Speedway, Eric Monaco now clear by a whopping 26 points. It would take a miracle for Keith Marks to run him down. We'll be back with your Super Late Model Race in just a moment. Once again, you're watching Short Track Thunder on Green Flag TV. back for more in Short Track Thunder, and this time it is for Super Late Models race number 8 as we get set to go racing for these guys. And of course, their second to last race here of the season. It is much like it was over in the Limited Modified Series. It is a long shot at the moment for anybody to catch up to points leader Mitchell Hodak, who currently sits 16 points clear of Nathan Orman, with Blake Mears bringing up that third position. And we're again talking over 12 points out. Cologne and Wallace bring up the back end of the top 5, with Cologne and Mears separated by just a single point. So Mitchell Hodak has been on fire this season. He has taken an unprecedented 5th win over just a few races ago, and now he's looking set to see if he can pick up win number 6 here today, but it might be a bit of an ask as he starts this race all the way back at 8th. And speaking of starting in 8th, let's take a rundown of what your starting grid is going to look like for this 19-car 50-lap affair. Nathan Orman's on pole with Jonah Tanner beside him on that front row. Jeff Wallace back in 3rd with Blake Mears in 4th. Ronald Pierce brings up 5th place with A.J. Thompson in 6th. Colin Cropley is 7th with Mitchell Hodak in 8th. Billy May brings up 9th, and Stephen Cologne rounds out the top half of the field in the top 10. Eric Monaco and Timmy Richardson are going to be on row number 11, with Ross Colbert and L.J. Toledo on row number 12. Mitchell O'Brien and Michael Brown will be sitting 15th and 16th, with Matt Jones and Alex Benoit 17th and 18th, and Willard Burton brings up the back end of your field here tonight. Once again, Pace Car going to get set to take these 19 Super Late models out for racing action here at the Thompson Speedway and Motorsports Park. Again, another 50 laps on the docket for us here tonight before we end things out with your 60-lap Tour modified race. Say right now, though, Nathan Orman in a great position here to try to see if he can get some points and see if he can potentially try to close that gap into Mitchell Hodak to be of any sort of contention in the season finale. So as the field gets set to run down through turn numbers 3 and 4, we'll be going to green flag racing then, this time by the Porsche 911 iRacing pace car. Pulls down and in. Green flag up in the air. We're underway in the Super Late Model Division. A good getaway again from Nathan Orman, leads the way down into turn numbers 1 and 2, while Jonah Tanner and Jeff Wallace duke it out for second place a little bit further behind. Now though that Orman is clear, as has Tanner. Tanner can start to run down that number 18 car, while the field starts to single file out right behind them. Looking at Blake Mears as Ronald Pierce gets around the top shelf in the Brandt Chevrolet. There is Mitchell Hodak, already up 2, trying to make it 3. The AutoZone Charger trying to pick up win number 6. Single filed out now for the first time all night long in your super late model field. Didn't even take them 10 laps to do it. As the field started to spread out, about half a track now separating first from 19th. Nathan Ormond continuing to pull clear up at the sharp end of the field, while Jonah Tanner, Jeff Wallace, and Ronald Pierce are still under a blanket for that second, third, and fourth spots on the racetrack. Hard on the binders once again as the Aaron's 24 Chevrolet tries to push up to the 0-2 to make a move. But it's looking like it might be all for naught. Jumping back down the field, Mitchell O'Brien just lost a spot to Eric Monaco and is trying to get that back, but so far Monaco on charge. The I Heart Mac and Cheese 21 now looks to the outside of the 96 of LJ Toledo, but he's going to push too wide out of turn 2 and lose a bit of ground back to O'Brien. And now Ronald Pierce under fire by Jeff Wallace. Wallace gets around him for third and clears down for turns 1 and 2. Blake Mears tucking in line right behind for fifth as Mitchell Hodak trying to make moves. Hodak dives to the inside to try to pick up the top 5. But again, falters on exit, loses out for the 6th position. How about Billy May? A little bit further down the field. He just lost out to the 8th position as Stephen Cologne on the move. Cologne works his way up into the 8th spot, goes around the high side of 1 and 2 in the Tires Pros Chevrolet down to turn 3. And back down to turn number 1. The 8 car still holding strong while Ronald Pierce, Jeff Wallace, Blake Mears, and Mitchell Hodak remain in lockstep for that final spot on the podium. Nathan Ormond, meanwhile, up at the front of the field, has been having himself a pretty decent run so far. A very quiet race so far for Ormond. Just see Willard Burton up the road. And behind, Jonah Tanner trying to make ground. Colin Cropley, meanwhile, trying to get around Billy May as May just made the spot up for 7th spot. And now here comes Stephen Cologne, gonna put Cropley down another spot. Probably drops 2 in 1 lap down to 9th. Once you lose one, if you're in a train, you're liable to lose several in the Super Late models who are able to arguably rip that outside lane the best out of anybody at the Thompson Speedway. Meanwhile, further down the field, Ross Colbert, Michael Brown. They just got into a little bit of a fight at the 51. Almost gave the bumper there to the 75 as we dove it back down to the turn number 3. And Ronald Pierce getting around the outside of Jeff Wallace for 4th. They've caught up to Jonah Tanner in the meantime. So you jump back here and see how this went down to make that pass on Wallace. It was just a better drive off of turn 2 down the front straightaway. But Jeff Wallace immediately going to take that spot back. This was around the back straightaway and into turn 3. Wallace lunged for it way deep on the brakes and carried the momentum around the high side. Blake Mears goes through as well, bumping Pierce back down to 5th, and now here comes Hodak, still stuck in that 6th spot and not able to make up any kind of ground. Halfway home, 25 down, 25 to go. Coming on this time by, Orman's caught lap traffic. Trying to make short work here of Willard Burton. As this race continues to develop, we'll let you listen on in to the sights and sound of the Super Late Model Division at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. Trouble as Willard Burton gets slammed into the outside wall, and that car starting to slow on the racetrack as Burton took a hefty shot there in the outside wall. He is going to get into the 64 there as he's going to duck down off the racetrack. So Burton having a heck of a time at the moment as he got drilled into that outside wall. No caution yet. He's still rolling quick enough and off the racing line, so we'll keep this thing green. But Burton, I imagine, race going to be effectively over for the Altel 34 car as he'll pull down into pit road, and that is game over. That's how it happened. Rode up the wall even. That was a wicked shunt there that Willard Burton took into the outside wall. We'll look at this one more time. Ronald Pierce tries to put it 3 wide with himself, and Jeff Wallace gets up and into the 34 car and just runs him out of room into the outside wall. And Mitchell Hodak had to jump on the binders, or he would have found himself with a bad time as well. Hodak, Mears, and Pierce now all under a blank for 4th. While Billy May and Stephen Colon settle a scrap for 7th. Hodak trying to get a run on Ronald Pierce to break up further into the top 5. He has gone around Blake Mears for that 5th position. And while Ronald Pierce will continue to run around in that 4th spot, the battle starting to die off elsewhere throughout the field as you got this group of 4 here between Cropley, Richmond, Toledo, and Monaco. But to save there a bit, spread apart is a bit of an understatement as things stand. 15 cars remain on the lead lap as it stands, and this fight between Pierce and Hodak is the closest one that we've got on the racetrack at the moment. A 3-second gap sits between Orman and Tanner for 1st and 2nd. Hodak again going to look for the inside. But again, Ronald Pierce carries the momentum around the high shelf. Ross Colbert getting into Alex Benoit here off of turn number 2. They'll do battle for 16th place. Both these drivers 1 lap down. There is race leader Nathan Orman just up in front of them. But they'll remain stuck side by side as we're under 10 to go. And Colbert, as he managed to get clear from the inside line, we haven't seen that often this race. Not quite. The 16 fighting back around the outside line, but I'll tell you what, Ross Colbert knows to put that car to make up a move on the inside, and he will clear for 16th down the front straightaway. All right, game on. That inside line does still hold some weight to it. You know, Jonah Tanner has been losing a bit of time back to Jeff Wallace for 2nd here, so we're about to get a fight for the 2nd spot, and that's because Tanner's been held up by lap traffic. And is in fact still being held up by traffic. LJ Toledo, Eric Monaco. Monaco on the inside, Toledo on the outside. The fight for 11th dies as quickly as we switch to it. One of this between the 50 and the 7. Richmond and Cropley. They're fighting for 9th and 10th, and Cropley taking the outside off of turn 4. Trying to secure it at 1 and 2 by the time they get to the back straightaway, and he'll do just that. Textbook overtake for the 7 car around the outside of the 50. So you still got some fights to be decided out here, and among them, Jonah Tanner and Jeff Wallace, as Wallace has gotten by Tanner for 2nd. With an outside pass into 3 and 4, and he had that one secure by the time they got down to turn 1. But Wallace still has to contend with the fact that lap traffic is still very much in the way here and very much trying to play spoiler. Tanner once again gets the nose and around the outside line, coming to 2 to go. Can he keep it in there off of 4? No, he can't. Jeff Wallace hanging on for that 3rd spot, or the 2nd spot still. But again, Tanner lunging for it. Into 1 and 2 to the outside. Tanner secures 2nd. Here comes Ronald Pierce trying to make it for 3rd. Almost a hip check as Pierce gets around Wallace for the 3rd spot as we take the white flag. Jeff Wallace still hanging strong. Nathan Orman, meanwhile, entering 3 and 4. He will take the race win in the Super Late Model Division. While around 3 and 4, the drag race for the line, Wallace hangs on. Pierce forced to settle for 4th, and Hodak will be in a disappointing 5th place. As one by one drivers come across the start-finish line, here are your race results from your Super Late Model Division race, and it is going to be the likes of Nathan Orman to take the win over Jonah Tanner, with Jeff Wallace back in third. Ronald Pierce picks up fourth, with Mitchell Hodak only making up 3 positions up for that 5th position. Blake Mears is in 6th, with Stephen Colon in 7th. Billy May is 8th. Colin Cropley is 9th. Timmy Richmond rounds out the top 10. Monaco, Toledo, O'Brien, and Thompson round out the cars on the lead lap. From there you had Jones, Colbert, Benoit, Brown, and Burton to round out the drivers that finished this race laps down. And once again, your championship standings, it is closed in at the top. Mitchell Hodak, after a bad run, under 10 points between himself and Nathan Orman. This fight is not over. Nathan Orman, if he can get a good finish at Bristol, he could very well take the Super Late Model Division Championship. We'll see how this is going to pan down in Bristol, Tennessee. For now, though, you still got one more race on the night. The 60-lap Tour Modified race will be up in just a moment. And then it comes down to our final race here of the Short Track Thunder event at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. It is your Tour Modified division for race number 6, where we get set to go out racing here tonight. And I tell you what, it's going to be a fun way to end things on out for us here as we get set to close it on out with 60 laps of the fastest cars over here on the Short Track Thunder schedule. We'll take a rundown once again of what your championship order looks like, and it is the closest points battle out of any of them so far. 1 point separates Jack Cooper from Mitchell Hodak entering the race tonight, and from there, there's another 6 back to the likes of Nathan Orman, who's going to be way back there in that 3rd position. It's another 2 back to Danny Kane, and Rocco Mulder sits 9 points out, but less than 20 off of Jack Cooper. It is a tight points battle that could still go anybody's way. And at this point, it is the truly biggest of who knows types of situations. And we'll get down into it here with your official starting grid for your 21-car field. Ray Fitzpatrick is the pole sitter with Denny Kane beside him on the front row. Hodak sits back in 3rd with Ty Lawrence in 4th. Jack Cooper, the points leader, sits in 5th with Michael Brown in 6th. Mitchell O'Brien sits 7th with Levi Menard in 8th. Paul Castle brings up 9th place with Nathan Orman in 10th. Elgin Toledo was 11th, and Denny Marks brings up the top 12. Moving down through the field, you've got the likes of Eric Monaco in 13th, Kyle Sadler in 14th, Rocco Mulders in 15th with Joey Renshaw in 16th. Chris Law brings up 17th with Colin Cropley in 18th. Alex Benoist 19th, Isaac Lovender's in 20th. Gray Larson brings up your 21-car field. Once again, we are set to go rolling here for what should be a very, very intense bout of racing action here tonight. And I have a feeling this is going to be one of those races that's going to be to remember further on down the line, as 60 laps in the 3rd to last race. Still 2 more races on the docket, 1 at the Southern National Motorsports Park, 1 at Bristol Motor Speedway. It'll be 1 lap left to green this next time by before we get set to take this one down to the green flag. These guys roll down the back straightaway. I want to once again thank everybody for taking the time to join us here on Green Flag TV for what has so far been another absolutely amazing race, as it'll be in the hands of Ray Fitzpatrick's number 98 car, the pace car. Gonna pull down into pit road this time by 60 laps the distance for our final race at Thompson. Green flag is up in the air. Ray Fitzpatrick leads the first lap to green, but we're double file deeper in the field as these guys try to get themselves all sorted. It's a tight a battle pack, though, all the way up and down throughout this field, as it so often is in Tour Modified racing. Fights up and down everywhere you look throughout the field. How about this one for almost 3 wide as you get set to run back down the front straightaway and into turn number 1. You just saw Nathan Orman pull clear in the number 60 car, while Levi Menard and Michael Brown continue to duke it out right behind these guys. We're 7th on back. Running it down the back straightaway in towards turn number 3, the 46 car. Holding tough on the inside. Up front, meanwhile, Denny Kane and Ray Fitzpatrick remaining tangled together, trying to make the move with the race lead. You see him look for the inside, 31 going for it. Denny Kane trying to make the move for the lead. Not going to happen, though. Fitzpatrick fends him off from the top shelf. cars side by side further in the back right here. We're looking for like Belgian Toledo and Joey Renshaw fighting it out for 13th spot as we run down in turn numbers 3 and 4. The 14 of Paul Castle sits right behind them, with Colin probably waiting in the wings as well. So one by one, battles are starting to get themselves sorted on out as we get set to settle in how the rhythm of this race will play out. Here is Mitchell O'Brien, Jack Cooper, Nathan Ormond, all under a blanket. And Jack Cooper in a bad spot at the moment. He's got to get some good points here if he wants to secure himself going into the Southern National Motorsports Park race of the Bristol Finals. He's got some work to do, though, in that number 1 car. Only 1 point clear, remember, of the likes of Denny Kane. Monaco, meanwhile, looks like he's about to lose a spot here potentially as Denny Marks trying to make a run around the high side with Michael Brown in tow. Marks going to get the upper hand in 3 and 4 and clear down the front straightaway, and Marks going to try to go with him. Meanwhile, there's the move for second as Hodak gets around Kane for the second position in 1 and 2. And down this back straightaway, not able to clear. Denny Kane fighting back as he rocketed it back down the front straightaway into turn number 1. And Kane hangs on to the spot. So a great defense there from Kane as Hodak forced to fall back. Now here comes Ormond, who's broken up in the top 5 with both O'Brien and Cooper trying to battle back. And O'Brien's got the run to the outside of Nathan Ormond around the high side of 1 and 2. And the 60 car, hard on the brakes, trying to maintain the spot for 5th. He's not going to do it, though. And Mitchell O'Brien clears for 5th down the front straightaway. The field starting to spread out. This track over the Thompson Motorsports Park has allowed some of the biggest field separation we've seen all season long. It's not often we see the field get so spaced out so quickly around a racetrack, but Thompson is just one of those tracks that invites that with how powerful the lines can be, the different lines can be. It makes it difficult to make any kind of move. Here's the lunge for the lead. Denny Kane caught Fitzpatrick, and he made the dive for the lead down into turn number 1. A great overtake there for Denny Kane. Let's look at that one again. Got the run off of turn number 4 and absolutely went full send into turn 1. Takes the lead away from Ray Fitzpatrick. Now Ormond and Cooper going to get themselves single filed out here. Oh, maybe not. Here comes Marks. Going for the outside of Jack Cooper as well. Marks picks up a spot. Rocco Mulder, meanwhile, loses out to Eric Monaco. Joey Renshaw trying to use the momentum that Monaco lost to his favor, and he'll also pick up a spot. Keep an eye out for Michael Brown as Michael Brown, as Brown looks like he might want to try to find a way around the outside as well. I mentioned it earlier, once you get up on the outside, if you're in a train, you're going to get freight trained, and that's exactly what happened to Eric Monaco as he's lost 4 spots over about as many laps. Trying to take one back from the outside of 06. It's not going to happen, though, unless he can really send something down into turn number 1. Hodak, meanwhile, has been losing significant time, Fitzpatrick's been losing a lot of time at the start of this race. He's now down to 3rd almost as Hodak trying to make a move. In fact, the last lap by, he was over a second slower off of his best lap of the race. So Fitzpatrick has burned all his stuff in the early going, and now he's struggling for pace in the number 98 car. Still seeing Cooper slip down through the order here as he tries to get himself sorted, but it's just such a rough ride for Cooper to try to make that pass around the inside. He's been trying so many times to get around Denny Marks, and every time it just falls back on him, and he's just not able to complete any kind of pass with a move. Meanwhile, Monaco and Renshaw, 11th and 12th place, now starting to do battle as Joey Renshaw clears the top shelf of Eric Monaco and down to turn 3. Monaco still holding firm on the inside. That's going to last too much longer, though. Hodak finally gets around Fitzpatrick, meanwhile, for the 2nd position. We'll take a look on how this one took place. Fitzpatrick was low on the ground trying to get around the 76 car of Gray Larson and ended up falling victim to the sneak attack from Mitchell Hodak, who now clears the 2nd, and he's gotten around the Unical 76 car and tries to run away with it now. Denny Marks and Jack Cooper are still locked in their own little fight here, starting to catch up to some of your more mid-pack runners in the back here, right around the middle portion of that top 10. Denny Kane, meanwhile, has checked out from Mitchell Hodak. He is well cleared by over 2 seconds into turns 1 and 2 as we take halfway at the cross flags at the start-finish line. Now having to work on Alex Benoit and Chris Law. A bit further down the field, how about this one between Rocco Mulder and Levi Menard? Menard going to clear for the top side of Mulder. The Valvoline 57 going to fall back. While the 17 of Menard makes the move from the top shelf off of 2. Clears for 9th. All the while, Monaco still trying to work on Joey Renshaw and still just barely not able to make it happen. Here we go, Mitchell O'Brien about to lose out to Nathan Orman. Orman's got the top side off of turn 2. Trying to break up in the top 5 for the Red Bull 60. And Orman's through to 5th. O'Brien drops to 6th. Cooper and Marks still in the fray as well. Around the outside of Mitchell O'Brien goes Jack Cooper. And keep an eye out. Denny Marks going to make it one more. O'Brien going to fall all the way down to 8th before he can finally get back in line. Denny Kane's lead, though, has been slipping as he has still not gotten around Chris Law. And behind him, Mitchell Hodak starting to reel him in. So it's about to get a bit dicey here for the final spot up for grabs, the highest paying position on the grid. And you can see the lap times there about how much Kane has reeled in, or Kane has been reeled in by Hodak. over a second in the last 5 laps. It's another half a second this last time by. The gap shrinks again, down to 10th of a second, and here we go for the move around the outside line, down to the turn number was 1 and 2. Hodak's there, trying to get around him for the race lead. Hodak, can he get clear from the top shelf of the 29? Denny Kane still holding strong from the inside, but Hodak's going to use lap traffic as a pick, and Hodak takes the race lead. Hodak trying to get the leg up on Jack Cooper, trying to take the points lead. It was only 1 point out for Cooper entering this race tonight. And this is surely going to then secure him the points lead entering the race at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Haven't talked about Ty Lawrence a whole lot this race, but Jack Cooper continuing to move up through the order, trying to get around the 23 now. But trying to do so on the inside line is a bull move, and it might not pay off for him as the 23 of Ty Lawrence going to clear for the top shelf, and now Cooper is starting to fall back into the clutches as Nathan Orman tries to punch his ticket back up into the top 5. All the while, Denny Marks still waiting in the wings. He's trying to find a hole through. Double file down in the turns 1 and 2. They're going to single it out as they run down that back straightaway. Less than 20 laps to go. Further down the field, you got Michael Brown and LJ Toledo still tied together for 13th spot. That battle going to get itself sorted out now, but you've still got Joey Renshaw trying to keep Eric Monaco at bay, but he's been doing a fine job at that, and I don't think Monaco is going to be able to get around Joey Renshaw at the rate they're going about things. Nathan Orman still trying to make a move for Denny Marks, trying to go around the outside line. Orman trying to now make the move up on Law to see if he can finally break through and put this pack behind him so he can secure himself in that 6th position, but at the moment it's not going to happen as Law continues to be a thorn in his side, just like it was the Limited Modified Series. Lap traffic is everything in these races when we get down to the latter stages. Closing in for 10 laps left to go. Time still starting to run out for these drivers a bit deeper down the field. Monaco this time has the leg up on Renshaw. Can he secure this one finally? Answer is yes. After 50 laps of trying, Monaco finally gets around Joey Renshaw for 11th. Meanwhile, Rocco Mulder and Denny Marks fight it out for 8th spot on the board. This is Mulder trying to go on offense here to get around Denny Marks with that 18th position. A bit further up the road, Jack Cooper loses out to Ty Lawrence for 4th as Lawrence starts to reestablish himself and put himself back where he started in this race. Fight for second's not over yet either. As you can see, there's Danny Kane, and a little ways behind him, that's Ray Fitzpatrick still trying to make up ground as they get around lap traffic. Five laps left to go in your Tour Modified race at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, and Mitchell Hodak started to lose time to the cars behind him, courtesy of some lap traffic. He's put himself with a few lap cars in between he and the others, but he has lost a fair chunk. As we consult our handy-dandy time track or Delta tracker, you can see lost over a second within the last 5 laps. But now started to extend that now that he's cleared some of the lap traffic behind. Three laps left to go. Hodak just got to try to hang on for another 1.5 miles, and he'll take race number 6 in the Tour Modified division for Short Track Thunder. Two to go now. And no more lap traffic will hamper Hodak's efforts. And he's built that gap up back to 2 seconds down the field. He'll take the white flag. And down the back straight for the final time, entering turns 3 and 4. Mitchell Hodak, your winner in the Tour Modified division for the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. Here we go, a 3-wide drag race though for 4th, and it's going to be Cooper to take it at the line. What a drive for Jack Cooper to take that 4th position. Play that one back for me one more time. As coming on down in towards turn numbers 3 and 4, it got hectic in the background here. Well, look at this one again. This is Ormond, Cooper. Watch Lawrence throw it up the middle. And this turns into a 3-wide drag race for that 4th spot down the start finish straight. And watch Jack Cooper take it by, we're talking thousandths of a second. What a way to end out the show here tonight with a race like that for a spot. Might not be for a podium, but hey, it was a well-earned fight well enough. We'll look at, once again, your post-race results here in the Tour Modified division, where it is none other than Mitchell Hodak to take victory over Denny Kane. Rounding out the podium, you've got the likes of Ray Fitzpatrick. Jack Cooper wins a 3-way drag race for 4th, with Lawrence and Ormond for 5th and 6th behind. O'Brien picks up 7th with Denny Marks in 8th. Rocco Mulder was in 9th with Joey Renshaw, rounding out the top 10. Eric Monaco, Levi Menard, LJ Toledo, and Micah Brown, along with Paul Castle, finish out the cars on the lead lap. Kyle Sadler, Colin Cropley, Isaac Lovender, along with Chris Law, Alex Benoit, and Gray Larson finish this race laps down in your field. And your championship order, well, to say there's been some swings is a bit of an understatement. Hodak takes the points lead by a whopping 6 over Jack Cooper. Still all to play for then, with 2 races left to go in your Tour Modified division. For now, that's going to be a wrap then on Short Track Thunder. Thank you for joining us on Green Flag TV. My name is Little Remple. We'll see you all next time for our penultimate round, where we'll be seeing the stocks, the Tour Modifieds, and the Stock Truck Cup out for more.